Hey, what's up, everybody? Crap Gamer here, and I got kind of a special treat for you guys. I have one of the community managers from Team Dakota, the developers of Project Spark, Brian Perry. Go ahead and say hello to everybody, Brian.
Hey guys, happy to be here.
Yeah, he was nice enough. He actually gave me a bunch of codes and stuff that I've actually been kind of handing out on Twitter here and there, and I'm probably going to do some more with this, with those as well. But I just wanted to, I really appreciate you taking time out. I know you guys just did a Twitch stream. Do you guys do Twitch streaming like every week, right?
3 times every week, yeah.
3 times every week. That's got to be crazy. I mean, the amount of interaction with the fans and things like that. Now, what exactly is your role with Team Dakota, and what does your job kind of consist of?
Yeah, sure. So we're a pretty small team. That means everybody here wears lots of hats, top hats, backwards hats, all kinds of hats. But we all do a lot of different things. So as community manager, I do a lot of stuff, and it's more of a unique community manager position. I think with like a lot of other games out there, you might have a community manager who mainly takes care of forums and social media. But since we're really quote unquote game about making games, I like to think of it more as a platform that helps people make games and experiences. We do more interesting things. And so the thing that I really focus on is making sure that our really active community, all their feedback is heard by our small team. I also make sure that I do the normal form moderations and social posts. But a big thing is I teach our tools. I do a bunch of different live streams throughout the week, as well as a different YouTube tutorial series, and I explain how to use all the different tools in Project Spark. You can go really deep. You can go like second grader type level of detail of just fun experimentation to full on blown computer science degree. I can make vector math stuff. So there's a lot to teach, and that's one of my biggest goals is just explaining everything and teaching everything. And then because we are a smaller team, for certain games, I'll help with actually development of them. So for Conker's Big Reunion, which we just came out with, I helped with making cinematics for that game.
Okay, and you mentioned that you guys are a smaller team. Exactly how many people are a part of Team Dakota?
We're at about 40 to 50. So
Oh,
not
okay.
not a
So
really small team,
yeah.
not as big as say someone like 343, not as small as someone who is a six-man team. We're medium to small size.
Okay.
Small, I would call it small because we have such a big thing that we always feel like it'd be so great if we had 20 extra bodies to work on this stuff.
Yeah, yeah, totally understandable. Now a lot of people, when you try to explain Project Spark, like if you were to explain that to somebody that has no idea what it is, what would be your best pitch for it to sell somebody on the game?
Yeah, that's always the hardest thing because it's such a big idea. So I like to actually think of it and call it the YouTube of video games. Before YouTube came around, video content, there's this one-way channel for video content. And now with YouTube out, you have YouTube stars like you actually. For
Yeah.
instance, you have a bunch of people who are able to take video content and create themselves, and they have a really easy way to create it and distribute it. And so we've taken that approach with Project Spark, and that's why we're ever evolving, because we're just creating the platform for you guys to come in and do that same kind of thing with video games, where we give you all the tools and make it easy for you to create your own video games, publish those out for anyone to play them, and kind of create your own platforms to build a following around. And we have a lot of really successful creators who've built a pretty nice following around them already.
Okay. Now, were you there for E3 2013 at with Project Spark and Team Dakota?
So I was on the other side of things, E3 2013. It's an interesting story. I actually started out on the community. I was one of those people watching E3 2013, and as soon as I saw Project Spark, for me it was this huge moment where I realized if this team delivered on what they showed at E3 2013, this will be such a huge monumental thing. And then it came out in beta, and I was actually one of the active community members back in beta. I logged, I don't know how many thousands of hours. It would be pretty sad if I listed how many thousands of hours I spent building stuff in Project Spark. I spent so much time building in Project Spark that Team Dakota had me out for a few of its different conferences. We were at PAX East, we were at Comic-Con, and then they just said to me, you know what, I guess you've built so much, why don't you just join our team? So I moved out to Redmond, and I've been on the team since right around launch, about November of last year.
So you got a job with the developer because you like to play games a lot. That's really interesting. That's awesome.
Pretty much, yeah.
Now, see, because Project Spark was a game that really stuck out for me at E3 2013, and it was like a very tumultuous kind of thing. Like the Xbox One was getting a lot of hate and things like that. So, to me, like what I was paying most attention to was the games. And when I seen this game come out that you could basically make whatever game you wanted, that stuck out more than anything else to me. I think that was like one of the highlights to me, that and Killer Instinct. But
yeah.
it's just really phenomenal to see kind of the reaction and the different things like that. Now, how have things like Smart Glass and Connect help improve like Project Spark along the way?
Yeah, well, I'll say there's a lot we want to do with Smart Glass. We want to actually make that a really integral part. I think right now, Smart Glass and Project Spark, there's so much more that we'd want to do with it to actually make you able to code stuff on the fly. So there's lots of stuff we can do there. With Connect, we had a really interesting opportunity with how we could use it and how our creators could actually use it in a really useful way for making their games. And the coolest thing is the fact that you can use Connect to motion capture basically for your own games you're making, and actually even use its audio recording to import your own audio into your games or whatever you're making. So we've seen really awesome uses of Connect. Someone made basically the dance to, I mean, you can list like any famous music video, and somebody's made a dance to that. There's a great one for Gangnam Style. But there's people are able to make their own motion captured animations using Connect, bring that in their game, use it for like attacks or cinematics or whatever. And that for me made Connect make so much sense for me. So it's been a really cool thing. It's not too common that you'll have this out of the box motion capture system, and that's why I'm really excited about what we've been able to do with Connect.
Yeah, like the one thing, like you were saying earlier with Project Spark, the cool thing is it's kind of there for every level of person, beginner to like somebody that maybe really wants to get into hardcore development. I mean, you're programming the brains to things. You can do your own motion capture and voice work and things like that. I mean, I think that it's like a phenomenal tool, and I've never really seen anything like it. And it's like, it can be very difficult, but it can also be a really good learning experience if you wanted to maybe do a job with something along the lines of developing video games or whatever. And I think that is a really useful tool. Have you guys got a lot of feedback from other developers, that liked what you guys are doing as far as bringing this medium to a whole nother audience?
Yeah, we've definitely talked a lot with the development industry, and a lot of developers are looking at Project Spark with this sense of wonderment on the fact that they're really trying to deliver on this really big idea. So we've heard lots of positives from developers around the industry, and we also work in tandem with a lot of developers who you think we'd be in competitors with. Like for instance, I think one thing out there that people compared us to is Roblox, which is sort of like another game maker, and we're actually really great partners with the guys at Roblox. We've done panels with them, and we've really helped talk to each other about how we approach our problems different ways. So it's really cool that we get to work with everyone in the industry, and they all think that we're doing a good thing. So that's a positive.
Yeah, like that's really impressive. Like that's what I always kind of wondered. Like, you want the next generation of gamers, you know what I mean, or the next generation of developers to maybe have their imagination kind of peaked with this. You know what I mean? It's like I can remember years and years ago, I was interested in like just basic game maker. It was like on PC, and you could like make, and that was kind of fun. And Project Spark takes it to a whole nother level. So, I can imagine the people that use like the PC kind of game maker back in the day, and now they're making games, and now, you can look at some of the younger people probably aspiring to make full-on games with this. And I think that that's really cool. What's the best community created game you've seen so far?
Oh man. I would say on a weekly basis that changes. That's the craziest thing. We're at a point now, I think for the past few months, we are coasting on every single week, something comes out that blows our minds. Um, Off the top of my head, just listing off a few, there's the trippiest music video I've ever seen called Infinity by this guy, aptly names himself Project Sparker. He's spent almost 3,000 hours inside of Project Spark, this guy. And
Wow.
he made this little music video where he actually used only sounds from inside of Project Spark, made the music video from that, and it's this trippy, psychedelic, crazy color show that you watch for 3 or so minutes. There was a great one by a French creator called Ater and Deus, where he took the idea of Tetris and brought it into this 3D platformer where you actually have to pick up tiles and place them down to get rid of extra rows to make it to the next part of this room. It's this crazy outside the box idea that I never really thought of. And
Yeah.
just a few days ago, a creator came out with this 2D shoot 'em up spaceship battle game called Invasion 2. They'd worked on this earlier game Invasion that was pretty good, and in this game Invasion 2 is it's so awesome. It's voice acted by this hilarious lady narrator who sounds like GLaDOS in a way, and it has 45 minutes of gameplay of getting into this enemy base and destroying it, and then on top of that it has all these like free scoring modes. It like this thing feels like a game that I would buy, and we're
Yeah.
getting to that point with like in the past few months we've gotten like dozens and dozens of games that are at the quality where you start saying I would buy this. This is good enough for me to purchase. So it's getting to that really professional quality now.
Yeah. You know what? I can early on. I don't know if you know him by name, but he goes by Mr. X Bob.
Oh, Mr. X
Um,
Files, wonderful. Did you play
yeah.
the Great Mighty Pooh that he just came out with?
Yes, I played that, and I played. He originally he had done like the Fable. That's how I became kind of familiar with them. He did the Fable, the first Fable in Project Spark, and that was the first thing I played when it was in beta still. And I just remember thinking, wow, I mean, like really, the possibilities are limitless. And he actually won a Fable anniversary Xbox 360, which is like incredible. Like
Yeah.
and he's also he also did Little Big Planet, like
Yeah.
which was really a takeoff that I thought it was hilarious, and I really like what a lot of people don't understand. Like, you don't have to really be a creator to enjoy Project Spark. I a lot of the times just play the community games and just have a blast with it. Like, I do Let's Play sometimes, and you could literally play a different game every time, like a shooter or platformer, or you know what I mean, or like an adventure game, like sort of like Zelda-ish, you know what I mean. And that's to me is what's so cool about Project Spark. And I just want to say that as a gamer, that's something that's needed, because there hasn't been a whole lot of that as far as on consoles and things like that. So
Hmm. Yeah,
uh,
the cool thing is the Let's Play community has been just getting more and more into Project Spark, and as they're playing it, it's free for them, so you can play all
yeah.
these creations for free. And so a lot of them are getting in there, and they're finding all these games, and they're realizing this is pretty fun. I guess I'll record this, and so we're getting a lot more Let's Players just constantly in Project Spark playing games and just having fun and sticking around.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense to me, because, like I said, you could literally play something. I remember looking for Star Wars games because, like, they do like the whole Star Wars May 4th thing, and there was just so many different Star Wars games. People just
Yeah,
like really impressive. I mean, they got lightsabers, they got TIE fighters, they got a little bit of everything. But probably one of the coolest things that I've seen in Project Spark, which is Conker. And now that his assets have been put in the Project Spark, it's been really successful. A lot of people are talking about it. Do you think that there'll be a possibility of more old school Xbox characters put into Project Spark like that in the future?
that's definitely been a big request. I think as soon as we announced Conquer coming to Project Spark, in the very next breath, everyone said, "Okay, when's Banjo coming then?" So yeah, we know for a lot of people, they would love to have other IP in Project Spark, and so I'll just say that we're aware of that, and we're way too early to talk about anything that might be coming next. We're aware of that. We're looking at sort of what we could do in the future there.
Oh, okay. How has the reception been for Conquer, as far as you know?
Yeah, it's been positive. with the biggest challenge for us was, we wanted to, when you're bringing an IP into another game, usually it's just sort of as a skin for doing extra things with. And we wanted to approach it differently with having an actual episodic experience because, we wanted to actually do Conker justice. The fact that he hadn't had a game in 10 years, we said, well, if we're bringing him in, and we're a game making platform, we need to make, an episodic experience. And so for us, the biggest challenge was, what if everyone hates what we made? what if everyone says that we didn't do him justice and it doesn't, it doesn't feel like Conker. It's nothing is Conker like. So that's why we aligned with Rare and actually were in communication with them, talked through all of our ideas with them. We got in touch with Chris Seaver, the original voice of Conker, as well as the creator of it, and had him back to not only voice Conker, but voice Birdie, the Teddies, Bajo the Money Wad, all those good characters. And it was a really nervous day, the day we released. Are we going to get a lot of hate mail, or are people going to really like what we did? And so far, we've been really impressed by how positive people have been taking it. So yeah, that's a very long answer, but short answer to that is it's been received very well so far.
Yeah, I mean that's really cool because I'll say this, like I was a Conker fan. I was wondering, what are they going to do? Because originally when it was kind of announced, they're like, well, it's going to get Conker assets. So you figured you get to play as Conker skinned on the character. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then to see that you play through it and the humor was just, in my opinion, like out of this world, like where he comments on microtransactions. I mean, I was taking a drink and I spit it out.
As microtransactions. Yeah, we did that on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, wow, that was hilarious. You know what I mean? And then he's like, he gets drunk. It's like everything that you would really want from a Conker game. It totally makes fun of Metal Gear. I was like, wow, this is really, really funny, and it was really good. Are you guys going to be doing more Conker episodes as we go along?
I'm not ready to talk about what we're doing next with Conker either. I've been very tight-lipped on that, but yeah, we will be talking about what we're doing next with Conker in sometime in the near future. It's cool stuff.
Okay, well, I mean, I figured I had to ask. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
of course.
It's great that he's back now. I know you can't really talk about it, but what characters besides, like, say, Banjo Kazooie would you like to see in Project Spark? If you could, just like an all-star lineup, who would you love to see in Project Spark in the future?
Yeah, I mean, outside of what we do bring in, I would love it. Like when I was growing up, one of my favorite games was Super Smash Brothers, and if we aligned it to Project Spark being kind of Super Smash Brothers game creation, where you just have all of the big Microsoft IP in there, that's like huge. Imagine creating a game where Conker, Master Chief, and Marcus Phoenix all team up to take down I don't know, the witch from Banjo Kazooie. It's like crazy stuff like that. So it just in general, I think I just think it's such a cool concept of total game mashup and IP mashup.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I think like from me personally, there's like a lot of unused assets in Microsoft's vault that I would love to see put in there. There's people like Voodoo Vince and Blinks the Times. Yeah, I mean, there's just a ton of characters, and even though I know Microsoft probably has no interest in doing like a Smash Brothers thing, they could actually do something like this and let people kind of create it. And I really like that about it. Like, I played a lot of the Conker community games, and they're really fun too. That was like Whack Conker, Whack Off, or whatever. It was like Whack-a-mole. There's a lot of interesting things there, and I would love to see what the community does with some of these other characters. And not only that, but I think what it does is it brings these characters, it tests the interest, it gauges the interest, I guess, because people always talk a good game like, oh man, I love Conker, but then when you look at the sales of previous Conker games, they were never really great. So this, I think, I believe that people are ready for that because platformers and platforming games are starting to make a comeback. And I'm happy about that because, I'm in my 30s. I grew up with platforming games and they kind of gone away. And, I was really happy with like Yooka-Laylee, that thing, that's making a lot of money. There's lots of rumors with Rare and that they're maybe working on something. I'm really excited about that. Maybe Banjo 3, who knows? But, I think that a lot of the fans are ready for that. And so I think Project Spark has a lot to do with that because it came along at a good time. So.
Yeah, it's It is really cool. I think we're in this great time because I grew up also with with all those great platformers, and honestly, working on Conqueror's Big Reunion and the platforming sections of it just reminded me of how great 3D platformers could be, and so it was actually a really perfect time when Ukulele came out to Kickstarter. I'm so excited for that too.
Yeah.
I have so much love for that, and I just love this look at certain there are things with Conker's Big Green, which had lots of platforming in Ukulele. The future is looking brighter for 3D platformers, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
I agree. I agree 100%. And it's cool that like you guys take notice of that too. And I mean, Kickstarter, like to me, I like what they're doing. I think we're going to see a lot of like the spiritual successor thing now because you can bypass some of the red tape, I guess it would be, and
Yeah.
just like directly affect get the fans, because a lot of times fans are like, hey, why don't you guys just do this? You know what I mean? And there's a lot of red tape involved. And I think that that's a cool way for fans to, I guess, if they want it bad enough, like kind of get it, and
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy that. I'm looking forward to that as well. The ukulele is going to be something that I'm going to buy and support. And, same thing. I was happy when they brought Toe Jam and Earl back. I'll be, I'm
Yeah.
going to get that too, because I was a big fan of that game. I just, I love those type of games. I grew up with them. So, now, let me ask you this. A lot of people think of free-to-play as kind of a bad word. I've noticed that Project Spark is actually different than some of these normal free-to-play models. Could you maybe sell somebody on the free-to-play model that Project Spark has that's different from, like, say, a lot of the pay-to-win type models?
Yeah. Well, because it literally is free to play.
Yeah,
If you go in and you play community creations, it's free. The you know we the thing that we are actually more focused on at Team Dakota, because if we were focused on um, getting profit basically out of people, I think we would have set up our system in a different way. We are much more interested in inspiring creation, and that's really why Project Spark was created. It was not ever created to be this monolithic money making machine. It was created to be this thing that helps inspires creation. And so, we wanted to put stuff in there that help pay for some of the dev costs. So what we do have in there is you have additional content packs basically you can buy that our team creates. So like for instance, everyone starts out with the free creation tools where they have they have a lot of fantasy stuff. But
yeah,
then we have on top of that we release a new pack basically almost once a month. So we're now at a lot of packs actually. If you look through, we have this huge marketplace of packs. But if you want, say, like a sci-fi pack, we have that. If you want a pack with a king and queen, you have that. And so you have all these packs that you can purchase if you want to enrich your creations. And those can be unlocked also if you're a hardcore player. You can unlock that with in-game currency too. But so the nice thing is it's from the free to play aspect. It is if you're a player. It's free for playing all those community creations, and it's it's really helping bring a lot of players to the creators going through that model. So I think the creators are like they're really learning and getting a lot out of it by having thousands of people playing their levels.
yeah. I have to say that like for me and anybody that watches my channel knows I'm not really like big on free to play. In the past it just seems kind of like a free to start type model. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know. It's just something that you never really felt a part of. But with Project Spark, especially like I went back to it when the Conquer thing came out, and there's like a whole new introduction level, like
Yeah,
that teaches you, and I was like, man, if that would have been there from the beginning, like I probably, I know people that probably would have jumped in and enjoyed it much more because it really kind of went through each step of the way, kind of forces you to, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
so, and I was really impressed with that. I was like, well, I already went through all this stuff, but I'll go through it. And then I was like, oh, okay, now I understand that, because I was like, well, some of the brain stuff was difficult at first. And the best part is, man, the achievements just start racking up really easy,
yeah,
and that really kind of like that, played to me because I like achievements. If I'm putting in hours and hours to stuff, I like getting achievements. I don't like go for every one, but it's cool when you put in hours and hours to get, and you see those 15s and 20s pop up. So I think that
yeah.
that's pretty cool. Now let me ask you this: how has Microsoft been? I mean, have they been pretty supportive and helpful throughout the process of Project Spark and things like that?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's no doubt we would not be. There's no way we would be here without the support of Microsoft, and we are a first party studio also. But they have been as supportive, as more like leaps and bounds more supportive than we could have expected. I mean, the fact that that Satya himself actually highlighted Project Spark in one of his keynotes, it really speaks to how dearly Microsoft feels about Project Spark, and so we feel that all the time. I mean, it's sort of we talk with other studios inside of Microsoft, and they all just have this huge respect for us. And Microsoft in general has always supported us and really supports our long vision because we're very different than a game. A game comes out and it might get patched a few times, and then that's sort of it. With our team, we really, after launch, we maintained pretty much most of the same team numbers and continue to just refine and build on top and add more and more stuff so we can continue to make it, more of our vision. So it's been, and like the fact that they supported us for months and months to do that and will continue to support us is wonderful.
Yeah, that was cool. Like ever since, that's something that, like I said, at E3 2013. Are you guys gonna be at E3 this year?
I'm not sure yet. I think that's for other people to discuss and decide.
Okay.
So that remains to be seen.
All right. I got to ask some tough questions.
Oh
Like you
yeah,
may not be like the,
I,
um,
it's no fun without tough questions.
yeah. Now, what were some of the inspirations behind Project Spark? I mean, do you know, like, you're part of the team. What are some of the like inspirations where you guys are like, hey, that was good? Like maybe Little Big Planet or maybe some of these other games. Is there any kind of inspiration that you guys drew from?
Yeah, we drew inspiration from a lot of different places. The biggest one of them was actually internal. It was what is kind of our parent. It's called Kodu, and it was this little game thing where it had a visual scripting language that's basically the what ours is now, but it's just a more basic version of it. And it was just a really interesting idea of making coding and making brains and adding stuff into characters, making that something that even a child could approach it. And then on top of that, we actually were looking at our studio head was looking at just different engines out there and stumbled into something some of his friends are working on that would really make creation a lot of fun, like creation of just terrain and paints. And those two kind of happened at the same time. And so, we that's how Project Spark was sort of formed. It was like a really cool terrain creation tool that we saw, an engine we saw, and then on top of that, really cool things happening with Kodu. And so we kind of put those together and wanted to set out to make Project Spark the combination of those things to create this platform that, like I said before, is sort of like the YouTube of video games.
Okay. Now, what games do you or other Project Spark team members like to play outside of Project Spark? Like, what currently are you like into?
Yeah, the crazy thing is like how much I still play in Project Spark is crazy. Like every night, how many games I still play in there. But outside of that, I am still toiling away. I love it, and I'm just taking my sweet time with it. But Dragon Age Inquisition, I'm
Okay.
like 90 hours into it, and I'm taking my time, really seeing all the nooks and crannies. I'm a huge Bioware fan myself.
Yeah,
So
I am too. Like, as far as I was concerned, like, I was never really an RPG guy until I think like KOTOR came along. And then from
oh
that point
yeah.
on, it was like, I wanted to play, I buy all the BioWare stuff. It was like Mass Effect and Dragon Age. And, and I really thought they really did a great job kind of, not, Dragon Age 2 got a lot of hate. I didn't really hate it. I thought it was pretty good. I don't think it was as good as the first one, but
Mm-hmm.
I thought they really did a good job kind of redeeming some of their the little issues in the third one. So Dragon Age Inquisition for me is just really, really good. And there hasn't been a whole lot of RPGs yet this generation. So
Yeah.
Obviously, it's kind of weird that we're, a year and a half into the generation, and The Witcher is about to come out, which I'm excited for. But we haven't really seen the influx of RPGs that we normally get. So yeah, I agree. That is a fantastic game to sink a lot of time into as well. Let's see. Now, how was like the budget as far as Project Spark, or do you consider Project Spark to be like a AA or AAA game?
I would probably say AAA, but that's it's more of a philosophical question. Is it even considered a game? So if you think of it as a platform, does it get a AAA or AA? But I mean, I would say with the fact that how much Microsoft backed it and how much development time we spent on it, you could potentially say AAA. So I think that's an apt thing to call it.
I would say so. I mean, like you can download it, like you said, free to play and enjoy it. What I did was like, I'm a collector, so I bought the box. You know what I mean? Like I just like to have, you know what I mean? So it's like, even with Killer Instinct, I bought that digitally day one, but I still, when they came out with that awesome artwork and stuff, I bought it, you know what I mean? Just because I like that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I would say that, I put that right up there because it could really be anything. And like, I actually like the Hero Quest story on there as well. Like I thought that one's really, really well done. And I'm really, I'm not all the way finished with that yet, but I think that it's a lot of fun. I like it. It almost reminds me of Cameo a bit. I don't know if you remember that game.
Yeah, I remember it well. That was a great game.
Yeah, it was a launch game for the 360, and a lot of people don't really remember that game, but that was probably one of the better platformers that I've played, and I think that the Hero Quest on the main part of Project Spark reminds me a great deal of that. Is there any? Go ahead.
Speaking of which, someone in the community is making a sequel to Cameo themselves. It's looking really good. They spent, I think, 400 hours on this game. And they're treating it like it's game. They're like releasing concept art out for things that they've built in it. They're releasing character sheets, and they're making box art for their game. And I think that they're going to release it inside of Project Spark this month. So I'm really looking forward to. They're saying it's this sort of spiritual successor to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard something about that. Somebody mentioned that on Twitter. It might have been Mr. X Bob. Yeah, he was pretty excited about that too. Like, anything that can help bring back some of these classic games, I'm all for. I'll definitely look forward to jumping on that. Is there any like crazy stories of stuff that goes terribly wrong during any of your live streams or anything like that you guys do? Like you're trying, a lot of times I'll watch them and you guys are creating stuff like so fast and stuff. Is there anything like maybe a time that just went like horribly wrong for you guys?
Oh yeah, we do tutorials a lot, and there have been a few times where we coded things wrong and everything was broken. And so we're meant to be the guys who teach people how to make stuff. Yeah. So there's one tutorial where we were making a top-down shooter and showing you how to make a top-down shooter, and nothing that we were coding was working. So finally, I think it was half an hour in, we just gave up and said, all right, we're just going to delete this. No one should remember anything we taught you. We did it all wrong. Goodbye.
Yeah, I like your guys's your Twitch interview, or you do that. I try to catch it like at least once a week. I didn't realize it was like 3 times a week, but that's really like a lot of fan commitment and interaction and things like that. So I think that's a really cool aspect of it. How long did Project Spark, how long was that in development with how long did that take before, from the point where you guys first started up? Or, I mean, I know you weren't with them at the time, but I'm sure you probably know by now. But before that and then till release, how long did that take?
It was about 4 years, I'd say. Okay. A lot of development time. It started out with a very small team too. There was so many ideas they were coming up with, and then it slowly grew and grew and grew. But yeah, about 3 or 4 years from sort of creating the concept and figuring out how to do it to release.
Okay, that's actually a really good amount of dev time, in my opinion. Like a lot of things are rushed, but especially with this, because I was in the beta and I was having a lot of fun with it, and super excited when it released. So to me, a lot of games are rushed. The 2 years or whatever. So I'm kind of happy with that. Whatever happened to the planned Xbox 360 version of Project Spark?
Yeah, we announced in January that it was indefinitely delayed. It doesn't mean that we'll never go back to it, but it's I would say it's probably unlike this point. It was we wanted to. There's a lot of different factors, but the main one is we wanted to make Project Spark work really well on all platforms, and we just found the amount of downscaling that would have to be done. It just didn't. We didn't think it would lead to a great final product, and we know that set off a lot of fans, and we know that that was something that people were waiting for. We didn't announce for a long time, so it was a hard decision that we made a few months ago when we decided that it just didn't for the time being, it just didn't seem like something to pursue, knowing what the end product might look like.
Yeah, I mean, let's like as far as I was concerned, I was kind of surprised when I heard that it was going to be on 360 after I played the beta. I'm like, how are they going to get this game on 360? You know what I mean? Just for me, that's old hardware. There's like not a lot of memory going on. I was like, man, it would probably be kind of a mess. So I mean, I just wanted to ask because I had a couple people ask me about it, so
Yeah,
I figured, I would just kind of relay that. I mean, I kind of figured as much anyway. But hey, man, if you guys want to play it, just get an Xbox One there. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
there's got to be as far as I'm concerned, it's like I had, an Xbox 360 since launch in 2005. I was ready to move on, in 2013. That's 8 years. Although I'll still play my 360 here and there, but I mean, eventually it's time to move on, So I think that, I actually like that move because that gives people an extra incentive. And then, with Connect and all that stuff, I believe that that is a really good, kind of nudge to get people to get an Xbox One. Especially if you really want to be creative and things like that. So, I think that's perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with that.
yeah. And there's also some things that just we decided to do that are kind of exclusive to Xbox One, not on 360. And so those, there's a lot of stuff that we realized wouldn't really translate to 360.
Yeah, that's very understandable. Very understandable. Is there any hints that you could give about maybe what's going to come in future updates to Project Spark?
Yeah, well, just today we talked about the next thing that's coming. I mean, pretty much on a monthly basis, we're releasing new features, a lot of new stuff. So the next thing that's coming is leaderboards, which a lot of our community has been asking for, so that you'll be able to with your games that you're making, you'll be able to put leaderboards in them so that people can really vie against their friends, and it leads to this great, more competitive, more sticky nature of playing games and replaying games. So that's coming. That's coming actually within the next few weeks. Then we have. I mean, we continue to put out just different content. Our community is just constantly asking for. We want this content to put in our games. We want like top things. This isn't to say that we're going to do these things, but just for instance, top things people are asking for is we want dragons, so we can put dragons in our games. We want horses, so we can put horses in our games. We want one person specifically said he wanted lizardmen to put lizardmen in his games, and we want dungeons, and we want cool cloud pirate ship, like a air pirate ship. So yeah, we are trying to hit on all those content requests as much as we can.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's really cool. Like, yeah, gamers, I can imagine them wanting all kinds of stuff in there. I got a guy who's watching the podcast. His name's Jay. He's actually the creator of an indie game called Gear Gauntlet. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, he's making a game called Gear Gauntlet. It's an indie game. It's going to release this summer on Xbox One. And he goes by Bites of Chicken. But anyway, he asked a question, so I figured I relayed. He says, "How many Project Spark games have gone on to become standalone indie titles in the making, or have seen actual release, or will that ever happen?"
Well, currently in Project Spark, it's kind of a closed loop system. It's what we call it. So you
Yeah.
can't export your game outside of Project Spark. It's not to say that might not happen in the future. So we've seen actually a lot of creators transfer their skills and knowledge actually from things they prototype in Project Spark onto other creations. Just to give you an example, I mean, this is something where they actually were obviously building it for longer than Project Spark existed, but we are really close and know the developers of Ori and the Blind Forest, which is another wonderful game. And
Yes.
we were talking with one of their devs at, I think it was a Comic-Con last year, and he's talking about how he loved just prototyping ideas in Project Spark and then, actually building them in Unity or another platform. So we have a lot of devs who do that, because Project Spark, if you're a developer, Project Spark's this thing that allows you to prototype your ideas really, really fast. So a lot of them will come there, create these ideas, kind of release them to the public, see what people think about them, and then use those ideas they prototyped in bigger releases.
Okay, that's actually pretty cool. I think like you said earlier, like people could come out with games as far as like Cameo or whatever. I really like that idea. The inventiveness of it all. I'm just a big fan. How did the Linkin Park music video idea come about, or did you guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that was actually, I forget. It was, I guess it was E3 2013. So at E3 2013, we were showing off Project Spark, and this is before I was on the team, so I just used we to refer to Team Dakota. But we were showing off Project Spark at E3 2013, and Linkin Park comes by, and they're kind of blown away by what you can do in it. And from there, our team got a connection with Linkin Park, and they were always really interested in content creation and putting content creation in the community. So we worked with them, and they really liked the idea of, like, what if we make our next music video a playable level in Project Spark? And so our team worked with them, and really quickly we had some really dedicated designers on our team who built out that Guilty All the Same level. And so we released it alongside that, and the idea was to give people a new interactive way to experience music videos. Yeah. And so that was just a great experiment that we wanted to go along with them. And it was cool. It led to a lot of really interesting things. I always do my kind of YouTube searches for Project Spark, and I always see, oh yeah, Linkin Park right there at the very top. With the most view counts.
Yeah, you know what? Like I just watched it like before I had this interview. I was like, that is really cool. You know what I mean? Like it just blows me away about how good that is. And speaking of that, I've seen some things where I don't know if it was last E3, it might have been 2013, just after E3, like they're interviewing the developers and they're like whipping together these games in like 10 minutes. You know what I mean? And it's just like really phenomenal. I think that's really fantastic. That's basically pretty much the questions that I had for you. Is there anything that you maybe want to let people know or say before we go?
No, I was just going to comment on the last one. You're saying people whipping stuff together. Funny story is at PAX East last year, on stage, I decided on the fly, I was doing like this 10-minute session, and I decided on the fly that I was going to build Goat Simulator inside of Project Spark. And so I was able to make Goat Simulator in 15 minutes, and then I did it with squirrels, so I released it as Squirrel Simulator.
Yeah, I mean, that's really cool. I love the inventiveness of it. There's not really anything else like it as far as in depth or anything, but again, it's really accessible for everybody. As far as no matter what skill level you are, and that's really cool because I suck at building stuff, but I like playing other people's stuff. I can make basic stuff where the people move around and stuff, but it's not as good as would say a lot of the people that's put like 400, 500 hours into these things, and I think that those are the people that make the game even more fun. And you can play those games completely free. The community games, and that's really cool. But I really wanted to say thank you for taking time out to come visit and do an interview. And it's really much appreciated. I wish you guys a lot of luck in the future with Project Spark, and put in a good word for like Banjo and Kazooie and some of those other, like Voodoo Vince, some of those guys. Even the ones that they aren't doing much with. Just throw them in there and let the community kind of mash them up and make some kick-ass stuff. I think that'd be really cool.
Oh yeah, that would indeed.
And when's your guys' next Twitch stream?
Well, we do them so frequently that sometimes if you miss them, we all put them up on YouTube within the next 24 hours after that. But our next one is tomorrow. So we have a schedule where basically Fridays at 11 a.m. Pacific time, we go in and play a bunch of community creations. Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Pacific time, we do a tutorial stream. And then Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific time, which is just basically an hour or two before this, is when we do sort of our State of Spark, talking about what's coming next.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got a lot going on always.
All right. I look forward to seeing that again. Again, thank you very much for coming out. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll catch you later.
Yeah, thanks.